quick before we wrap.
James
Actually,
Harden dropping
yeah,
50 or what he drop? What you
yeah,
saying?
45, 46 or something like that. Game winner.
Mm,
Um,
mm. We can
what's
just get
going
to
on? Yeah, I know for real. What's going on with Boston here? Is Boston like? I was nervous. We talked about it, I think, a little bit. I was nervous when when they couldn't put Atlanta away, and even when they did put Atlanta away, it was like a closer game than it should have been. Like Atlanta got way too close to pushing that series seven. And now it seems like I don't know, no Joel Embiid. We've all like everybody has been like, yeah, Harden can't make any layups anymore. Harden doesn't have the 2 point. I can't get the 2 point game going up against a good defense, and he's not going to be able to do it. And he somehow did it, and they somehow won, and they're up 1-0 going, or they already stole a game on the road before Embiid's even stepped on the court. And I don't know, is there a chance? Is there a chance Philly actually pulls this off? Is there a chance Harden actually wins the East?
I shouldn't. After all these years of giving up on this dude, I shouldn't jump on the back. Shouldn't back on so. Shouldn't jump back on so quick. I shouldn't believe, but I really do believe right now that he can at least give them a run for their money and push this 6 or 7. Like I think with Joel's not looking too good right now, but I think even without just the way it's set up, Philly's not bad. They're just not. I think they were over 5. They were like 11-5 without Embiid this year or something like that. Like 11-6. They weren't bad, and Harden's just in that weird middle place where he's not. Where I think we can't tell like where he's at as far as where he even ranks amongst all the great players, because I think we just haven't seen him what the last couple of years have been with the whole net situation and everything. I feel like the dust settling off of where all 3 of those players were at from where they were when they started that team. But just to try to understand how good is James Harden right now, how good is he compared to a lot of the other great players, how impactful can he be? I literally do not I feel like I literally just don't know. He does something like he did in game 1. In the first round of the playoffs, it looked like he couldn't get to the basket for like a lot of it, like at all. And he's capable of this. But it's just I don't know. This Philly's interesting. What they were able to do in the regular season without Joel is interesting. The team without Joel is interesting. I would say Boston was the interesting part. Boston with the Atlanta thing, I guess the only cross comparison, like the greater worry to pull from if they're not gonna just turn it around this series and get Philly out of there, is Atlanta. Atlanta with the backcourt, like Atlanta, I think had Trey in the backcourt, and it seems like James is better, can still be better than Trey Young. Is still better than Trey Young. Can definitely hit another level and just gives you is a different level of threat. And if he can get into a bag, I think he can give them the same problems that Trey and maybe Atlanta were able to give Boston. And I think that's what I was going to say. Boston's interesting because the East is interesting. So I think it is better and it has gotten better than it's really ever been for most of my life. Or most of what since I've been watching the last 15, 20 years. As I started watching basketball, the East is hitting a new level. But with that, I think that they have built and that they're so just seeing the interconference kind of rivals and how I think Milwaukee, Miami, Boston, and Philly, I guess, just all of them, I think, have had each other to worry about in such a way where when you drop a James Harden into the mix, I don't think he was like a James Harden being like, I don't think he was a part of the plan. I don't think this team was built. I think this team was more so built to get through Giannis and Joel, because those were always going to be the threats. It was built around Tatum and Jalen, what they were able to do, they were able to do in their careers. But I think they've built a roster, especially like with Al Horford and like with their additions. I think it was more so about building the team that definitively could get past Milwaukee, get past Philly. And I don't think James Harden is the type of player that they were building to get past. Like they were building to have James Harden at this level, if he can maintain anything close to what that game was. It's not something they were preparing to get past. And maybe point to the Warriors is just, I think this team is maybe more built to deal with, not as well built to deal with great guard play. Because if it comes down to close games and you have a Curry, a Harden, or a Trey Young trying to close a game out versus Tatum and Brown, I think Boston can have problems with that sometimes. You can see, I think, them being the flaws of Boston being exposed in a way that maybe a Giannis or a Joel can't expose them, but a great guard can.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. Just being kind of built to attack a different type of thing. And the East doesn't really provide that for the most part. Kyrie's probably the closest thing to that level of player that they had to deal with, and like Harden and Kyrie aren't the same really in any regard in that way. So it's a different thing. Just to kind of follow up on the points we were talking about, Harden ends up going, do some quick math, 10 for 16 from 2 in this game. Harden goes 10 for 16, 2 in this game compared to what game we all were seeing in the first round against Brooklyn.
He made 2, I think he made 2, maybe 3 shots inside the 3-point line the first 2 games of the playoffs. Total. Go ahead.
No, exactly. That's been the interesting turn, and we'll see. Maybe James Harden's just been waiting for his moment to shine in the East, or maybe they look really bad tomorrow. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how it bounces. Celtics just aren't inspiring much confidence, despite the fact that it's kind of been put on a silver platter for them to get out this East. Nothing's ever easy, but
this is their second chance. That's the last thing I'll say about Boston. This is I feel like their second chance. I feel like Atlanta was the first test. I feel like realizing with just the coaching change thing, or just like, yeah, he's a first year coach in the like coaching in the playoffs. Like, now that's not easy. But I think this is their second chance to sort of, I think, lock in in a way, or at least find the chemistry with each other, in a way. It's kind of, I feel like Atlanta was the first chance for them to kind of like, oh, we got punched in the face. We responded. How are we going to finish this off? And I don't know if they closed it out as strong as they could have, but I think this is another chance where they take a punch, and then, but you have a chance to really, I think, look dominant and find yourself and build some momentum in the playoffs. Yeah, we'll see. I think this is their second chance to do it, but I don't know really how to judge. What's his name? Missoula?
Yeah.
Missoula. And he's I feel like, tough spot when they went to the championship last year. So I feel like he's probably in the. Otherwise, I'm looking at this team as maybe just expecting them to get back there, especially after Milwaukee loses in the first round. But I think he's the only holdup where I'm saying, well, this could end up being a big factor in their playoff run, or bigger than we expected.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's a place to go. I think it's where a lot of the finger point is going to go, but it's probably for good reason. It's just he's in a tough spot. And coaching in the NBA is hard. Coaching the NBA playoffs is one of the hardest things you got to do. He's not going up against necessarily the stiffest competition. That was my other theory. Is Doc good at making subs if he doesn't have enough players to actually make subs? They played 8 guys, so I feel like it made his life. Yeah, played 8 guys, made his life.
6 people scored.
Yeah, it made Doc's life a lot easier to not have to really make any decisions here. You know what I mean?
Well, even my brain's automatically going now. I think Doc's best offenses, and Doc likes to run his offenses through guards who can create, and he doesn't necessarily do a good job of going through bigs. I think the Chris Paul Clippers always were Chris Paul teams, and they got the best out of Blake, but it was never, I don't think we ever really saw Doc make it work with Blake. And even then, he got that, like, Blake was gone pretty quick after Chris was there, and then Doc put it together with Lou Williams and Tobias. One of Doc's more underrated probably offensive teams he probably ever coached. But I wonder if, just living through the years, going back to even 08, we're just like, that team in the Celtics back then should have ran a lot more through it than I think Garnett. But I feel like it was a lot of Rondo responsibility. I think maybe this is where he's more comfortable. But I would say even the extra layer of Doc right now, I don't have to go through the years, but when Doc had Tibbs, he was solid. When Doc had Ty Lue, he had some great teams. And Doc got Sam Cassell right now. I think Sam Cassell is it's that basketball. Not really about basketball. No, Sam Cassell. How Sam Cassell would be as a head coach, but it seems like this Sam Cassell, like even if he's like some kind of genius, assistant coach behind the scenes. But it does seem like the Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, like he just seems like he's good to be around. Like he sees the game in a way probably that is good for guards like Tyrese Maxey and James Harden, or wherever he's at. I think wherever Sam Cassell is at, I think he's probably adding value to the way the guards are dissecting the game and understanding their roles on the team. So you get thrown into a situation like this where your guards got to figure it out. It seems like I got to give credit to Doc as the head coach, but I know he probably even gives. I think Maxey can't shut up about Sam Cassell. I think Tyrese Maxey really loves playing with having Sam Cassell on the sideline. So, but yeah, I don't know, probably. Credit to Doc, but also I don't know. Yeah, I mean, looking back through the years and the layers to it, maybe he just likes kind of playing through guards who know guards who and he like empowering a guard who knows what he's doing, who knows he can create for others, and then putting the guys out there around him. Yeah, you said short rotation too. I feel like that was his thing with the Clippers was Chris Paul.
Mm-hmm.
They had they used to probably cripple them that they could only go 7 or 8 deep. But like, yeah, it was always one of the strongest 7 or 8 in the league. You know, Doc, big series for Doc, but yeah, it's probably tough. I think it's tough for Missoula. It's just like the experience. That's just a lot to go up against. Even Cassell, like Rivers and Cassell versus Missoula, who's even if he had Stevens or like Udoka, like the guys he's been underneath next to him, but it's like he probably has. But I forget who he does have. I remember seeing one time who his assistant is or who they named as his assistant. But that's just I feel like that's a weird situation too. Our weird part about it too.
Yeah, no, it's definitely there. I like the point about Sam Cassell. He definitely strikes as one of those guys who's kind of next up for one of those opportunities that you've seen the Willie Greens and coaches like that get over the last few years. Yeah, he was on the Clippers benches with Ty Lue, I think, back then. Ty Lue's another guy who kind of reminds me of. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's working his way up to that spot soon. And maybe doing not a lot of the heavy lifting because it's an effort. But, maybe helping out a lot behind the scenes. Like you said, Maxey speaking well of him. Only can speak good things, I guess, towards him. Any other thoughts, any predictions about what happens with this one as we head into game 2 tomorrow? I can't imagine the Sixers win. But I don't know. The Celtics have consistently proven they don't know how to take a game seriously over this playoff. So maybe must-win game at home against the Rockets essentially the Rockets, but against the Sixers, and maybe they can pull it out.
PJ Tucker 0 for 0.
Yeah.
0 for 1.
I wonder how much they wish they had Eric
Rockets.
Gordon, because Eric Gordon was hooping in the first round. I wish they had that dude on the team right now.
So they should have just have no shame. Go and get everybody, man. Go and get everybody.
I mean, it's a lot. Down House was on the bench for this one. Everybody was there.
Oh, he's still on the team?
Yeah. I didn't know. I mean, I figured he still was, but saw the DNP.